I'm not going to
Just
talk to my wife during this podcast either.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
This is way too many husbands.
Way
One,
too many husbands.
I have my Clash husband and my husband.
Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking that I was the fifth wheel tonight, but I really didn't like what that implied, so I'm going to skip it.
Fifth wheel?
I don't know where 3 and 4 came in, man.
It's June 30th, and welcome to the Clash Files. I'm R. Cooper Cady, and with me is the First Lady at Clash, Natalia.
Hi.
Got Rancid Meat.
Anyang.
And Mr. McSteamy, Halligan.
What's up, Coop?
And we've got a friend of the podcast with us tonight. We've got Bryce.
Howdy.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Doing really well.
Awesome.
I could be doing better if there was an update that dropped, but what are you going to do?
Fail.
Yeah. Well, you can find us on the internet at www.theclashfiles.com. Follow us on Twitter at theclashfiles. Go ahead and subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, and we're also available on Spreaker. And we'd really appreciate it if you wanted to give us a rating and a review on iTunes so we know how we're doing. Like I said, with us tonight is Bryce, or as I like to call him, Mr. Natalia. He's going to help us go through some questions. We decided we would make a mailbag episode because we are getting so much feedback. And Bryce, why don't you give us a rundown of where you are in the game and kind of when you started playing and how you're doing.
Thanks for having me, guys. I started in November of 13. I'm the leader of Phantom Zone and helped introduce everyone in the K-Fam to the lovely Empress Natalia.
It's true.
And I have a Midland Town Hall 10 account that I don't have time for, and a Town Hall 8 that I work on quite a bit.
You're the leader of Phantom Zone, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
And so how much do you war over there? What would you say your strength of your clan is?
We've kind of always been the laid-back branch of the K-Fam. We're real laid back. We don't have any donation requirements. We do require that if you opt in, you do your war attacks. We war 3 times a week, and one of our wars is we call it the out-of-the-box war, and you have to do something you don't normally do. So we're just kind of the relaxed, fun clan. I think most of us are really busy and don't have as much time for Clash as maybe some of the other clans do, so we're a nice kind of spot for people to land.
Do you have room for people to come visit if they want to come visit?
Yeah, usually we're not full. We're probably the fullest we've been in our history almost right now. I think we're at 47, but we definitely have spots open.
All right. And is there a password? What do they need to do if they want to come visit Phantom Zone?
Either say that you listen to the Clash Files or fan in the stands, as any K-Fam.
Awesome.
Fan.
Well, today we put out a request for questions or comments, and people really sent us a whole bunch. So we thought we'd put together an episode that just answered questions, and so we're going to get into that right now. The first one we got came from Twitter. Actually, we got all of our questions either from the Line app, which is a communication tool that we use in the clan family that we're in, or we got them off Twitter. The first one comes from Jay Weezy, and his question is, what made us decide to do our own podcast? Really, a couple of things, I think, got us to the point where we wanted to do our own podcast. All of us, Natalia and Halligan and Rancid Meat and I, we've all been guests on other podcasts. You know, we were just talking one day in the chat. I think Halligan actually had just been a guest on somebody's podcast, and Natalia and I were kind of going back and forth and kidding with each other and saying, don't you remember when we used to be invited to be on podcasts?
Right?
You know, just kind of going back and forth. And a couple of days later, or maybe a week later, we were talking about another communication tool called TeamSpeak. No sooner had we brought it up than one of our clanmates named Heisler set up a TeamSpeak server for us. And the 4 people that probably really used it the most are the 4 people on this podcast. So, you know, sooner or later, we just kind of came to the conclusion that we could use it to record a podcast, and that's how the podcast was born, or at least that's how I remember it. Nat, you had anything to add?
Not really. That's pretty much exactly how it happened. We were just talking one day, like you said, Halligan was, I can't remember what podcast you were on, Halligan.
It was Tate's. It was
Saturday
Saturday Night Hive.
Saturday Night Hive, our Cooper Katie and I were chatting, and he said, "Don't you remember when we used to be in podcasts?" And my response was something along the lines of, "It feels like it was a million years ago." And then we, like Coop said, we got on TeamSpeak, and it all just kind of fell into place. It just kind of happened. We figured, why not?
Yeah, it was one of those things where we kind of all blinked, and then holy hell, we got a podcast.
Yeah, and we started thinking about going through all the different things that we thought we needed to do a podcast, and one of the things was, do some editing. Who was going to record, and Rancid stepped right up and was like, "Oh, I can do the recording." And like, Rancid, did you have any idea what you were getting into whenever you said that?
No, not really. No, but it turned out to be a lot of fun. Yeah. So it wasn't what I expected as far as putting the product together, but it was something that I'd really been kind of curious on to do for a long time. So,
all right, our second question comes from McScrub Jr., McScrub Jr. Anyhow, he wants to know, how can someone come visit Kent from the K-Fam or in the K-Fam, seeing as how we're always full? So Natalia's the leader of Kent Farmhouse, and I'll let her answer that question.
Yes, I can do that. Kent Farmhouse is still full at 50. We do have a Kent Farmhouse 2.0 that you can go to. I think it's only got about 36 people in it currently. We
only
do have
for a week-old clan.
Right, not bad. But we do have a lot of our alts. A lot of the people that are in Kent Farmhouse are also in 2.0, a lot of their alts. So you can go visit 2.0 and still talk with a lot of the people that are in Kent Farmhouse. And if you look it up, it's just K and then Farmhouse 2.0 and you'll find it. That would be my best suggestion until a spot opens up.
And that clan will obviously get its own personality. I think right now we have a lot of folks from Kent Farmhouse that have alts in that clan. You'll get a flavor of what's going on, and then, I think our goal is folks can jump back and forth whenever they want to. Right now we need help in that clan because we need to get it leveled up so that folks that want to visit don't feel like they're taking a step down by coming to a lower leveled clan, I think.
Exactly.
All right,
no, and everybody, I think, that comes in is going to be part of building something a lot bigger. And once this clan gets to level 5, then maybe there'll be the opportunity for another clan, which they can help build as well.
Yeah, and they'll get some of that camaraderie by building it together, I think.
Oh, for sure. I think all of the sister... I don't even want to go so far as to even mention this as a feeder clan, but all of the sister clans that I've heard of, they all develop their own identity. People want to stay there. I think it'll transition where we get our alts out of there and let them die in the wild, where the great people of Kent will just take over.
Exactly.
Our third question comes from one of our followers on Twitter at Kosar Maniacs, which is another clan. And what he wants to know is, what are our thoughts on warclans.com, and how do we think they're getting the info that's on their website? Halligan, what do you think about that?
I've checked them out quite a bit, and I have no idea. My guess on how they got their info is there was some type of hiccup in the servers at some point in time where they were able to kind of get a snapshot of what was going in there. I'm just going to go there real quick. How up to date their stuff is.
It's creepy when I first went to it, how much information they had.
Yeah, well, I didn't like it either.
And that was relatively soon after they came out. Yeah, like right now they're still showing us as 29 wins, and that's old news.
Way old.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that they were able to get a snapshot froze in time, and then they use that thing where you can claim your player and you can claim your clan as the way that they update the rest of their stuff.
I wasn't about to do that.
Yeah,
I got really close, but yeah, I didn't end up doing it.
Yeah, and I think was it JR from SOAS had gotten to the point where it had asked him to move his clan castle to the corner.
Yeah.
And honestly, clan castle. You've got to move your clan castle to the top corner, something to that effect, so that their servers could verify that that's your account. But honestly, I think so few people do that it's it's not as overwhelming as you'd think for human intervention to somebody log into the game, go and see JR moved his clan castle. Okay, that's really him. And that's how they will update the rest of the information on the clans. That's the only thing I can see, because they cannot have direct access to Supercell's API.
I've never seen anything about that. Bryce, what do you think of Clan Wars or warclans.com?
This is the first I'm hearing about it. I'm not up on all of this stuff, to be honest.
He's the laid-back clan leader.
No fault there. I'll throw another
None
one
at
your
all.
way. So our next question comes from Devons and a whole bunch of numbers, and it also Slady asked us this, Slady182, and they're interested in when we think the update might come out. Rancid?
Okay, so I don't know. I don't have any insider information. If I did, I tell you I'd have about 999,000 gems. But I can make a logical guess. It's the 30th today, tomorrow being the 1st of July. It's the Canadian holiday for Canada Day. I could see them not doing it on the Wednesday, the 1st, just because of that, and doing it on the 2nd, preparing for the 4th of July weekend when everybody's got time off, time to build, time to raid, time to spend money. That would be my guess. If not Thursday, then it's going to be Friday, because they've got no other sneak peeks to release.
Yep.
You know, they don't want to keep the public hanging on too long.
Let's all say when we think it's going to be, so we can laugh at each other when it actually comes out. So that's a vote for the 2nd on Rancid's part. Halligan, when do you think it's coming out?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
No, I really truly believe that it was slated to come out today, the 30th. So you got the end of the month, you got early in the week for the developers to have a chance to see and fix the bugs before they're done for the weekend, before they're done for their summer holiday. I really think something happened that screwed up the release for today. There's been rumors out there that it was because Apple rolled out their Apple Music news service, and I wouldn't put it past Apple to put any other major release on hold just for them. So that's been thrown out there. I did see another rumor where there was a bug in their from Supercell's side of things where they woed that horse, dropped anchor, and I'm guessing that the latest that we will see it is tomorrow the 1st, especially with that new league being on a monthly cycle.
Yeah. What about you, Bryce? What's your vote? When do you think it's coming out?
Next Wednesday, so everyone's head explodes.
Wednesday. Yeah. Everybody will die. Nat, what do you think?
I'm in agreement with Halligan. I have to go with tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's coming out tomorrow too. So since somebody brought up the update, they've had a bunch of sneak peeks, maybe 4 or 5 sneak peeks. Halligan, do you want to run through maybe a couple of the high points and we can talk about them for just a second?
Well, this one seems like it's going to be a pretty major update. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has come out officially and unofficially from various sources. Supercell has announced their sneak peeks since, we're Tuesday now, so 5 days worth of sneak peeks. Most of them having to do with the level 5 dragons, a couple new dark spells, and the new leagues, which I think is going to be a very interesting addition as far as the top tier trophy pushers. But some of the stuff, as far as highlights go, are the dark spells. There's 2 that have been announced and then a third one that hasn't, where you're looking at poison spell, an earthquake spell, a haste spell. Actually, that was announced as of today. The leagues are above champions once you get into, I want to say, 4199, so you're looking at 4,200 trophies. You get into that Titan League, and then above 5,000, there's a whole new game being played above 5,000. There's a lot of stuff that was on leaked post that I won't get into too deeply here, but it's out there, and if we can talk about it, that's fine. What do you guys think? I know that level 5 dragon is going to be interesting.
I agree. I think the level 5 dragon is going to change them a lot in clan castles. I also think you're going to see them, you may start seeing them in war attacks, with some pig dogs, maybe some heals and some freeze and some of that haste spell. Time will just have to tell.
Yeah, Bryce, what do you think about level 5 dragons?
Well, I'm interested to see dragons in general. I'm a Town Hall 8 right now, so I use them probably more than anybody. The buff for all of the hit points in the buildings is going to be interesting to see how that affects the group that attacks everything. And then, of course, if you're going to integrate them into Town Hall 9 and Town Hall 10 attacks, that second blower is going to become a factor too, so that should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I neglected to mention was the second blower was one of the early releases as well.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to start seeing them more. I'm sure people will try to put them in war attacks and use them in pushing, but I wonder how successful they'll be since we are going to see that second air sweeper.
My question is if you put them both in the middle and you put one facing up and one facing down, do they just, like, one pushes it away and then the other pushes it back, and then one pushes it away and the other pushes it back?
You could literally trap troops right in the center of your base.
Right?
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Yeah,
that is quite an interesting little
the defensive funnel.
Yeah, very amusing.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of there is how would you get them into the middle?
I don't know.
Yeah, all of these things take such a time to play out. There's so much talk on Twitter and in the forums about how this update is garbage. These little, this haste spell, it's the same as a rage. What's the point in that? Well, these are little things that become big over time as people start to learn to use them. Hey, maybe pointing blowers at each other is the next big thing in saving that, saving your DE, saving that 3-star, whatever it is. But
you create
it's going to take players
a defensive line of buildings right into the center of your base, and then just trap them with that. Bring the loons right in. Same with the hounds.
Yeah, I wonder, what the dragons are great, I guess. I think that they're going to help maybe as clan castle troops, because some of the dark spells that they've announced are really what intrigue me, in that they're totally redoing the way spells work, so that you've got, in a top level spell factory, you've got 11 spots to put spells in, and the traditional spells are going to count as 2 slots, and then you're going to have at least 1 slot left over for one of these new dark spells. And so it's going to be interesting to see if, instead of the 5 spells that we're all, the Town Hall 10s at least, are used to bringing into war with them, I think one of the first things I'm going to play with is taking 4 regular spells in, because then I'll have room for 3 other spells to take with me. I know that's one of the first things I'm going to try.
Yeah, and I think that's an ingenious way of them kind of hiding these in there, because you keep your same spell complement. Just add this one extra spell, and then if you start seeing that, that worked really well, let me take out one of my normal spell complement, try 3 of that spell that worked really well, and go from there. So I think I Supercell thinks about these things. I mean, that's they think, they play them out, and yes, once millions, billions, whatever it is, players get their hands on it, different things happen, but they're pretty well thought out for the most part.
I personally, I've seen some criticism on, you guys just mentioned it, on 2 of the spells out of the 3 dark, is the haste and the earthquake. And from what I've read, the earthquake, basically it affects a building's hit point by percentage. So if you launch it on a builder's hut, it's going to do 50 points of hit damage, or 15% or whatever it is. But if you can find the clan castle, the town hall right beside each other, which in a lot of war bases they really are, those are the 2 heaviest hit point bases there, and they take so long and are in the core. If you can launch that earthquake spell at the beginning, you've done 15 points of damage, saving yourself about 3 to 4 seconds.
I totally agree with you on that. The earthquake spell is one of the ones that I'm getting excited about, because there are so many times that I'm at the end of a raid and my queen had 1 or 2 shots left on the town hall that meant either the difference between 0 and 1 star or 1 and 2 stars, that I think that will be a big thing for pushers especially.
The other one that I saw with the haste spell is everybody saying, it's just a rage spell. Well, maybe it kind of is a bit of a rage spell. It may not speed your troops up in the damage that they do, but with the ability to drop 3 instead of 1, or to be able to drop 5. It's a smaller radius area, and I find with the rage spell for a lot of the ground troops, and even you guys with the air, the rage spell is still going and the troops have moved out of it.
Yep.
These are going to be smaller circle, but a lot more, okay, I really want to turn on the gas right now and right now and right now.
And it's not like... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm really interested to see how it works with balloons. Because you don't really need rage with... The only reason you really use rage with balloons is not for the increased damage, but for the speed, because they generally clump. So
that's exactly the point I was going to make.
Yeah, the increased damage doesn't usually help. So with the haste, to just get them going faster, then the rage...
Yeah, they do so much damage on their own.
Right.
When you've got 2 or 3 max balloons together, they're going to wreck whatever they're standing over.
Exactly.
You don't have to waste that additional... The only thing, and here we're driving down the rabbit hole, the only thing that you'd have to balance there is the minions that are following those balloons.
They can go really fast.
They're really fast already.
They're going to pop out in front of those balloons like they're on fire.
And having them do the additional damage is great, almost necessary in a lot of cases when, especially when I'm up against Infernos and what have you, as a Town Hall 9 without freeze, having 20 minions in there, an Inferno on multi only targeting 5 of them. If they're raged, that Inferno Tower is going down. If they're hasted, those minions are going down.
They're going 500 miles an hour.
Yep. So it's not out right now. We're talking about sneak peeks and some degree of speculation. At some point, the new update's going to come out. We'll give it its due attention whenever it does drop. We actually did have another question that was update related, so we can touch on it here just real quickly. Risha in House of Zod, I want to say is
he's Zod.
They're in House of Zod. Okay, he had a question, and it was, what are our goals now that the new leagues have been announced? I don't know if any of you guys, have anything goal related when it comes to these new leagues, but I love to push, and I'm excited about the new leagues. I became a little less excited a few minutes ago when you said that I had to get to 4,200 cups in order to hit one of the new leagues. But I am motivated. I may be changing my gym strategy that I was going to employ tomorrow to just push with them. But I'm excited about the new leagues. Anybody else have anything to say about the new leagues?
I'm excited as well. I am not immediately pushing to the Titan League. I will not ever be probably getting close to the Purple Legends League, or not anytime soon, at least. I would eventually like to get up there, but before I do, I think I need higher level heroes. I think maybe 30 heroes, or even max heroes. So I won't be pushing for...
Man, I'm still just trying to get the gold 1.
Town Hall 9, I like the way that this looks for a year and a half down the road, but there's no immediate plans.
Rancid, you've got 30 heroes over there. Are you going to push to Titan League?
You know what? I think I've got to try, just so that I can say that, okay, as an experiment, if nothing else.
First.
Well, yeah, I'll get to champs, and then I'll go right through that if I can. Like I said, I think it's an experiment to see, okay, yeah, can a max Town Hall, or can a Town Hall 9, that's a complete 9, get into these new leagues? Again, I think that's a skill question as well, and let's see if I actually have any.
Pushing is going to be a whole different world, because the spell time has decreased, and now you have the opportunity to intersperse dark spells and elixir spells and work all this stuff together. You're going to be able to put a lot more armies on the field, and it's really going to change what pushing looks like, and it maybe make it more enjoyable for people.
Yeah.
Spell times have
absolutely
maybe decreased. We're not 100% about that.
Potentially decreased.
But
you have a second spell factory either way, so...
Yeah, I'm super jazzed because it seems like everything that's come out for the last year has just been about wars and warring and how to make wars better and that kind of thing. We've gotten a couple of small updates that didn't have to do with war, but this one you could argue is really a pusher update.
This
My-
this
Agreed.
league thing,
Definitely.
especially this is to make the pushing aspect of the game more enjoyable.
Please
Yeah.
let farming be next.
Got the matchups. That was
Yeah.
good.
That one, and then there's a little touch of farming help there with the storages not being able to be zapped by lightning.
Oh,
anymore.
that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's
if I
only
mentioned
hope.
that. That's huge. I think that's great. I personally haven't been the victim of too many zappers, but throughout the clan, the replays.
Just go down
Yeah.
to silver, Hal. Just
That's
go
right.
down to silver.
You'll just get zapped to pieces. But you better hurry because they're not going to be able to do it very long.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll take a pass on that one.
So enough update talk. We'll get back to that as soon as the update drops. We'll play with it a little bit and then give our thoughts on how it actually works. But Chuck, also part of the K fam, he wants to know if we have a favorite Clash moment or memory. Halligan, what do you think there? You have a favorite Clash moment or memory?
My actual favorite memory comes from back November of last year. Scotty put the word out that Scotty827, the OG podcaster, put the word out that the Kryptonian Family Push was open to all listeners. And leaving my clan, because there was always a draw to the Kryptonian family, but there was never a reason to really make that jump. Once that was open to the public, it's like, yeah, I'm going to spend a week, tell the clan, I'm going to spend a week over there, just see how it goes. And that was one of the best times that I've had during this game. And then the rest is history. Here I am.
Rancid, what's your you have a favorite Clash moment?
I'd have to say the first time I got to number 1 on the war map. I don't know if maybe that was a favorite moment, but it was a really interesting one. It was kind of a fearful one, too, because, oh, shoot, now what's my responsibility here?
Bryce, what's your favorite Clash moment?
I'm going to cheat and say I have two, but Phantom Zone, the relaxed fun clan, just clicked over to clan level 5. And I think I was the third member of Phantom Zone, so that was kind of a proud moment. We finally grew up. And then back in the original days of L, and I think we both kind of left the rabbits at the same time and moved over to L before it was even the K-Fam, but getting to talk to Scotty in chat after listening to all the podcasts.
Natalia, what's your favorite Clash moment?
So my favorite Clash moment has to be the day that I asked Bryce why he was hysterically laughing listening to a Clash of Clans podcast and starting to get addicted to it myself, and then eventually moving over to the Kryptonian family and finding Kent and all of that and building it and growing it and all of my friends and these fantastic people.
And my favorite Clash moment was probably when I sent the email, or I think I had to fill out an online form because I had been bouncing around from clan to clan. I'd been in a couple of family clans, and they had imploded because somebody said something to somebody's daughter or something like that. And so the person that was the leader kicked everybody out of the clan. So I went to the forums and decided I was going to go find a clan that was a little more stable than that. And one day after I filled out an application form, I got an email from this person that I had never met before named Princess Pants, and they accepted me into the main Bad Rabbits. I spent a long time with the Bad Rabbits, and that's probably my favorite Clash memory. The next question we got was from Turtle, and it's a little bit different of a question, not Clash related at all. And he wants to know if we could all have an extra ability like the X-Men or a superhero, what would it be? And we'll go to Rancid first on this one.
Okay, well, I'll go with the unreasonable and say that if I could be something out of a comic book or something, I'd really like to be Galactus. The Eater of Worlds is just the deal, as far as I'm concerned. But a little more realistically, I wish I had a tail. That would just be so cool.
Like a Nightcrawler tail?
Sure, prehensile, something I can hang some trees on, maybe, get my pop, useful.
I would say that's legit. Natalia, what about you?
I would like to be able to swim underwater, so have gills or a fin, or my legs could turn into a fish tail. I'd like to be able to swim with the fishes.
Your superhero ability, you would like to be Ariel.
Yeah. I want to be a mermaid.
That's
That's
legit.
it.
That's
That would
legit.
be
Mermaid.
cool as heck.
I think I would be really happy to be like have the claws and the adamantium skeleton of Wolverine, and I think I probably outed myself as a pretty big geek to know what adamantium is, but
Nerd.
I think that would be pretty fun. Bryce, what about you?
I'm a mechanic, so I got to go with a Magneto abilities. I drop a screw in an airplane, I can just zap it right back to my hand without having to find it.
Very
I-
good choice.
I can see how that might come in handy.
Nice.
Moving on, Brian Horst, he called in with a question. He said, what did we all feel like when we hit champs? How did we get there? Like maybe what kind of army we used, and if we have any advice on pushing. And just as info, he's a Town Hall 9. I'll start. I love to push. It took me 3 organized pushes to get to champs the first time. I pushed once with Bad Rabbits, and then pushed once with the Kryptonian family, and never made champions. And then finally, prepping for the second push that I was in with KFAM, I want to say, I pushed into champions. And I mean, it felt great. You get 2,000 gems whenever you hit champ, and you always get to say that you hit champ. Like, I think, like a lot of people, I must have visited every clan I had ever been in
Oh, yeah.
to rub it in their face that I had made champions. I used Lavalunion to get to champions, which I think is a super easy way to get to champions. Once you figure out what bases path right to the middle, it's just a no-brainer. And I would recommend it for anybody that wanted to push.
I won't go so far as to say that it's a no-brainer. Just a quick question for you, Coop. When
Okay.
you first hit champs, were you a Town Hall 9 or a Town Hall 10?
Oh, I was Town Hall 10.
Okay, so maybe as a 10, it's a no-brainer, but just speaking from my perspective as a 9, I went through pretty much the same situation as you did. The first time I even thought about getting out of gold was when the Kryptonian family made their organized push back in November of last year. At that point, I was a brand spanking new Town Hall 9. I don't even think that I had my clan castle up. I think I had 2 of my 4 army camps up. So I didn't have full complement. I wanted to get as high as I could, and I think I got up to 2,900 cups at that point. And then the second Kryptonian family push, I thought, now I've got full army camps. I've got everything that I need to get up there. And I tried my damnedest to help Kent get, which they ended up winning. So maybe my little contribution was fine. The Kryptonian family cup. Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
But I didn't make that personal goal of champs. So just couple weeks, maybe a month ago, I was just farming Laloon to begin with until all of a sudden I realized that I was halfway through Masters 2. I'm like, you know what? I'm close. Let's throw a couple Lava Hounds in here. Just like you said, Coop, you look at the right bases. Once I realized that I was close enough to forget about the loot and just worry about the win, finding the right bases worked out well. So to Brian, you're a couple cups away from it, man. You're gonna get there, and it's not that bad as Town Hall 9.
Rancid, have you done much pushing? What do you think about pushing and how to push up?
I haven't. I've gone to Masters 2. I was maybe about 100 from Masters 1, and I was just gonna doing that accidentally with just my farming army, seeing how high I could get it to go up. And that was about the point where I said, okay, well, this is where I've got to start adding a lot more, damage to my army. Not just, you can't go in with goblins and barbarians and archers. You've got to go in with something a little more tough than that. But I was more or less just up there going for the Dark Elixir at the time. So now that my heroes are up high, and I think how just knowing you as long as I have and seeing the couple of pushes that you made, and then when you finally did make it, your first push back in November, you had, what was it, about a level 5 king and a level 1 queen? And well, I think that the attempt was glorious with those kind of heroes. And I remember you saying, and it's not to pick on you, but what am I doing my heroes for? I'm using air troops. They're ground. They're just getting in the way. I do remember that being said, and I'm not trying to throw it out here, but
No, absolutely.
The only thing that I could say as far as any pushing experience is the higher your heroes, the more success you're going to have. You're going to be able to find the bases that you can get with a lot lower heroes, but the higher they go up, the more success you're going to have. You're going to get the 50% more often.
Yeah, in Town Hall 9s, first off, I think it's hard enough to get to champions as a 10. I don't buy into all that crap that there's nothing to getting to champions anymore, and it's not that big a deal, and you've got to go higher than that in order to really prove yourself. I think getting to champions to Town Hall 9 is just a super big deal. So big of a deal, in fact, that when Natalia did it, and I'll go to her next on her advice on how to hit champs, maybe at Town Hall 9, she became known as Ms. Badass to me. So Natalia, do you have any advice on pushing?
Nat, can I just jump in here real quick? Because this will lead into it.
Go ahead.
That first push, that number 1 was my good memory, or my best memory of Clash, and number 2 may lead into your story. I'm going to narrow it down to my favorite moment in Clash, when I thought that betting you to get to Masters 1 was, I think it was just a Masters, because we were both in Crystal 2 at the point when we joined that push clan.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to beat you there. I blink my eyes and you're in Masters.
I do remember that. My advice for pushing to champs is a Town Hall 9. Number 1, next a lot. Just keep nexting. Number 2, be picky. Be super, 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 super picky. Like Coop said, it's all about base selection. I mean, you could have 2 of this pretty much identical bases, but look where the defenses are. Look where storages are. Check the pathing, because that's huge. I don't know how many bases I've hit that I said, oh, this looks like such an easy base, and then my balloons path completely around where I want them to go, and I end up getting a 32% minus 28. And I want to throw my phone out the window. So be picky, next a lot. I got there by basically doing those 2 things and using Lava Union with Rage. That's pretty much how I did it. The last piece of advice I have is have some gems and have a lot of time. Just a lot of time to spend boosting, being on. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, you really have to commit a lot of time especially if it's your first time.
Yep.
Because I've said it many times, a lot of it is in your head, I think. Like when you get to 3,100, you feel like you're so close that you might start to push your base selection and fall for one that really isn't the best thing to hit. Bryce, I know that you kind of hit the reset button, but you did have a Town Hall 10. Did you do much pushing?
I was in the first KFAM push, and I think I made it to like 2,700 or 28 cups. But I'm just not a pusher at all. I have lived through a couple of pushes that Natalia has done. So the other advice at Town Hall 9 is to get to 3,100 cups, rage quit, drop to 1,800 cups, and then go all the way back to champion. And
and
have
bet some new guy on the way.
It seems to have worked for her.
I wouldn't recommend that. Don't do that.
So we have got another question right along the same lines, and it's from Super ND or Danielson Stokes.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and he wants to know how a Town Hall 9, a newer Town Hall 9, let's make it really interesting, a newer Town Hall 9 would push above 3,600 trophies. Natalia, I know you and I have both been above 3,600 trophies, but certainly not as a Town Hall 9. Can you think of anything that might help this person?
My best advice is don't. No,
yeah. Don't do it.
don't do. You're gonna quit Clash. Don't do it. Let's see. How do I put this? Like I said earlier, it's nexting will be your best friend. Base selection's going to be super important. Newer Town Hall 9, your heroes are going to suck. You're going to come up against constant Town Hall 10s. Look for the snipe. Always be looking for snipe. Always check your revenge list. That would be my best advice.
And that's where the have a lot of time on your hands.
Tons of time.
Comes into play. because you will
tons of
not
time.
find snipes once you get into champions. There's been guys that have been saying that they've been looking, just nexting for a week and haven't seen a snipe. Haven't seen a Town Hall 8 in a month.
Right.
So,
Now, that's really interesting, though, because they might be Town Hall 10s, and with the new matchmaking, ND might have a better chance of finding that Town Hall 8, because that may be within his matchmaking.
interesting.
Yeah,
well,
but
no, it doesn't change
the
over champs.
Exactly. The matchmaking rules go away once you get above champions.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
My best advice would be just don't do it. Because, and if you choose to do it, you need to bring gems with you, because at Town Hall 9, you're going to get obliterated as soon as you log off.
Yep.
So unless you can gain 50 or 60 or more cups in one session, it's going to be very frustrating, I think.
I agree.
Agreed.
So Wharf Rat, who's been a longtime friend of Kent Farmhouse for sure, wants to know what we do for fun when we don't clash.
Ooh.
Sometimes we take breaks from clashing, I guess. And Halligan, what do you do for fun when you're not clashing?
Drink.
Nice.
No, I've got a great family that I spend a lot of time with. 3 kids that are just wonderful, great wife. I used to play some hockey, but honestly, one of the things that got me hugely addicted to Clash was some slip discs, all of that stuff in the back. So no more hockey, but family. That's probably the best thing, the most fun that I can have.
Did you have, when you first got to Kent, did you have some surgery of some sort?
Oh, yeah, that was on my neck. That was my second. Yeah, I got a bad spine, man. Might as well yank that thing out like the old Street Fighter game.
Yeah, I thought I had remembered some pictures. Rancid, what do you do for fun when you're not clashing?
Spend time with my wife and the dogs. I go hunting. I use a bow, use a rifle. I go ice fishing and fishing out of the boat in the summertime. Other than that, I work a lot. So,
Bryce and Natalia, what do you do when you're not clashing?
Honey?
When you ask them both together like that, I don't want to know the answer.
I have no words.
We have a 3-year-old who keeps us busy, Blaine.
Very.
A future clasher. He pops the elixir and gold bubbles like no other.
Yes, he does.
We have a trio of dogs that keep us busy.
Yes, we do.
And other than that, I got to start an airplane and run it up today. That was fun.
I also like to take naps. Naps are
Those
good.
are fun. Those are my favorite.
Those are
I
my
haven't had one of those
too.
in years.
Yeah. Naps are one
good.
of those things that suck a lot when you're young, and as you get older, become more and more fun.
Super fun.
I have 3 kids too, and so of course when I'm not clashing, I'm playing with them. And we just moved, so we're going to be. I have been, and the family's going to be tourists in our own hometown for a while. So I envision us going and finding out what there is to do in Northern California. Kratos.
I say Kratos. Yeah, that's one of those ones where you don't know. It's kind of like Pekka, but it's always Pekka.
Yeah, he wants to know how did we find Clash, or did somebody bring Clash to us, and how long before we became, he says, addicts. I'm going to say enthusiasts. So when did we find Clash? How did we find out about it? How long before we became serious players? Nat, why don't we start with you?
I found Clash just randomly going through the App Store looking for a new game. That was in February of 2013. I played it, I think, until about Town Hall 2, thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever downloaded, and deleted it. And about, I'd say 6 to 8 months later, I was sitting on the couch with Bryce. I heard the dun 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 start up. I turned to him and I said, "You play Clash of Clans?" And he had just started, I think you were like a Town Hall 3 or 4.
Straight barb attacks, baby.
Something along those lines. And I picked it up again and have not put it down since.
So since you were introduced to it by Bryce, how'd you find it? Or you were reintroduced to it by Bryce. How did you find it?
Thank you, honey.
Yeah, just cruising the App Store, and you know, when we started November of 13, and I mean it still is, it was the #1 paid app, and I had a lot of time on my hands at my job at that point, and just played, and I probably deleted it 4 times, and always came back to it. And just once we joined a clan, once we joined the Rabbits, I mean, it was all over from there.
And Rancid, how did you come to be playing this game?
I was playing, I think it was Mini Warriors, and it just wasn't giving me enough interaction. There was no real social aspect to it. And so I started looking through the App Store. I may have seen an ad, or it may have been an ad within a game that I saw, but I downloaded it and started playing it. And again, I thought it was, oh, this is too slow, this is too dumb, this isn't quite what I want to do. And put it down for maybe about a month and a half, I guess. Started playing again in January, and it must have been about the middle of February that I joined Dark Scourge. And I saw my first Town Hall 8 replay from our leader. And I thought, oh yeah, that's cool. I want all that. And that was it. And it was a race at that point for me to get all the good stuff to play with.
What about you, Halligan?
Well, I think I've said before, I'm a long time podcast listener, devotee, and when I heard it reviewed or kind of touted on, I had to check it out. I don't play games. I haven't played games in years, unless I'm just messing around with my son on the Nintendo or whatever it is. But the raving reviews that I heard on the Twit Network about this game made me think, okay, I got to give it a try. And once I started it, it was like, I guess I could get into this. And it wasn't until later, much later, from January through darn near August, that I was just kind of messing around, that thought, oh, nice, war, let's get into a clan. And then the social aspect takes over.
Yeah, and I don't really play games. Like, if you look at my phone today, there's really only one on it. Like, I think I might have that 2048 game on there just when I need to kill 5 seconds. But
I love 2048.
I love that game. I was playing this other little time waster game where you touch the screen to make your car go faster, and you tilt your screen to make it flip one way or the other. And every time I crashed my car on that game, I would see one of the little 15-second "you in this army" commercials for Clash of Clans. They finally fought their way in, and I downloaded the game, and out of the gate, I was addicted. Like, I'm not afraid to say I'm addicted to this game. Trust me, because I mean, I was one of those guys that bought gems from the beginning. Not too many, because I didn't want to get in trouble for my wife, but
which still continues.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so yeah, it was pretty much, I dove headlong into the game. So as soon as I found it, I was playing it, a couple of hours a day, and then we all know what happens as you get further and further.
One thing that I neglected to mention, that the real addiction started because shortly after the Clan Wars came in, and I joined Dark Scourge with Rancid, I had that back surgery, which we referred to earlier, and I was unable to get out of bed for 2-3 months.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, exactly. So what have I got to do? A Clash. So that was really where it really kicked in hard. And it's funny, Ran, I don't know if you remember this. Remember that guy? It was a Town Hall 10 with all those zaps, whatever.
The guy in the body cast.
That was in a body cast. Exactly.
That's not really funny, but it is.
Well, that's how he got addicted to the game, is because he was in a body cast for 8-10 months.
Oh,
and
no.
so it's got nothing to do with Clash. So my story is relatively similar to his. Not quite.
All right, so we've got a couple more questions. Bisp, he's from our clan. He wants to know, what do we look for when we're deciding if we're going to let somebody join the clan? And probably even a better question than that, it's pretty easy to get into our clan, but he wants to know what we look for in a new clan member. And we'll go around the room on this one. But Rancid, what do you look for in a new clan member?
Over a week, a 2-week period, that they're active, that they're just in, and people know who they are. Not that we expect to know your whole personal life, but just that you've been talking and maybe all you talk about is Clash. That's okay. You're just active. If you want to try and help out, that's another great thing that we always look for, at least any of the clans that I've been around, is helpful people, whether it be with advice or with troops or just with some moral support. When somebody has a bad day, giving them a laugh kind of maybe turns it around. It doesn't take much, in my eyes at least, to be a good clan member.
Halligan, what do you think?
Really, the activity level is the biggest thing. We're here, and we covered this last time we talked. The social aspect is way more important than anything. But once you get past that, either you have a good style of attacking, because the one thing that whether or not war is huge to you or not, the one thing that affects you as a player is how your clanmates do war. Opt out, I've got no problem with that. Just be active. Donate, request, chat, maybe have a good sense of humor. But if you are going to be in the war, then either have a good tactic yourself, or be open to new ideas in that way, because that's the one thing that affects the clan as a whole, as opposed to just that player as an individual. And I don't care about 3 stars every single time, but I do care about striving for it. If you're satisfied with getting your star and getting your loot, then you're not going to be a good clan member. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, and I agree with what both of you guys have said. It's really an activity-based thing. As long as you're a nice person or not overly grumpy, not nice. I mean, there's always
negative.
Yeah, negative. That's what I'm trying to think of. There are always going to be times when you're negative, and hell, sometimes it's funny when there are people in there giving each other the business. But to me, it's the desire to learn, because you're right. If you're going to opt into a war, you've made a commitment, your clan, to try as hard as you can. And that's really, that's to me, the beginning and the end of the commitment, is that you're going to try. Because I try, and often I get a double goose egg in wars, but I do try to get stars. I think that's what's important.
Yeah, you've never showed up to a war with Barch, so.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I at least go to the trouble to cook an army. But we have 2 leaders that are on with us, Nat and Bryce. What do you guys look for?
Phantom Zone is so much different than Kent Farmhouse. We really have a different set of rules. I'm not too worried about the activity. If you don't chat, that's okay. I'm not on all the time either. But what we really look for is, we have a couple of rules that I'd like you to follow. Do your war attacks. Don't spam the chat. Don't be 12. If you're a Town Hall 8 or you're Town Hall 7, get your crap in so the 9s and 10s know what to do. And just a respect and maturity, really. And do what you say you're going to do. If you opt into a war, you better bring it.
I agree. What I look for is people like you 3. Obviously, I made you guys co-leaders for a reason. Number 1 on my list is maturity. Have to have a certain maturity level, be an adult, that kind of thing. Or at least not be completely immature and a kid. And like Bryce said, spamming the chat and all of that kind of thing. Number 2, to just reiterate what you guys said, activity. It's really important in Kent Farmhouse because we are always full, and there is quite a long list of the people that want to get in. And so if you're not active, then you're basically taking up a spot that I can give to somebody else who I know is going to be super active. And when it comes to activity, I'm talking about stuff like donating, asking for troops. I love to see people donate, but I also love to see people asking for troops. I don't expect a 1-to-1 ratio. But yeah, activity, maturity, some form of respect. I don't like seeing a lot of disrespect within the chat. And everything else you guys have said as well.
Don't be a jerk.
Don't be rude. It's not cool.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best one, is just don't be a jerk. Our our last question is from Sith Lord, who's a big friend of the podcast. He wants to know what our thoughts are on War CC troops after the update. So another update question. With the update and the dark spells, and I'm thinking he's talking about the poison spell and maybe the haste spell. What do we think, if any, will there be a change in what we're going to find in defensive CC troops? And specifically, he's asking, like, do we think that hounds will be in vogue? Nat, what do you think about that?
I think that we're going to see a huge change in CC troops. I think we see a lot right now of wizards, minions, balloons, archers, witches. I think those are going to start going away, and you're going to start seeing a lot of high hit point troops.
Witches especially, I think.
Yeah, especially with the poison spell coming out. I think you're going to see pig dogs. I think you're going to see Valks. I think Valks are going to become hugely popular. And balloons. I think balloons are going to stay pretty popular. You might even see a P.E.K.K.A. in there. And dragons. And
yeah, that's what I think too, because a lot of folks have thought that Supercell has tried to make the Valks more and more attractive, and I do think I think this might be another attempt. Like, they have high hit points, they do a lot of damage. I think that it'll help.
Agreed.
So, Halligan, what do you think?
I think that if you're Sith Lord, look for goblins in your clan castle. But no, that's the high hit point things are going to be really, really more important than before. The thing about the wizards, max wizards in the clan castle, was they're great. They could survive lightning. They could destroy oncoming archer queens, what have you, as long as they survived the lightning, which they would. Max level 6 wizards made it through the lightning. But now just one more spell, which Supercell has given you the additional spot. You lightning and then a poison, those wizards will go down. So you need something a little bit more beefy. My personal choice is going back to the pig dog, where you've got this thing that is going to survive through anything, and then once it does break apart, is doing damage and distraction. I think that's a great CC troop now and later.
Agreed.
What do you think, Bryce?
Yeah, I think that pretty well covers it. You know, all of this update stuff, I think we're missing something and not talking about something that'll probably be the biggest change to the game. It seems like that's always the way it is. Because, you know, the hero tethering was buried 8 lines deep in that update, and that might be the biggest thing that's ever happened in Clash of Clans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, and that there's a hidden gem somewhere. Rancid, what do you think about defensive CCs?
I like the idea of dragons, just because they're going to have so many. Level 5s are going to have a lot more hit points, I hope. The hounds are just entertaining, as always, and they'll always spoil a one-war attack. I'm thinking maybe the golem might be another spoiler. It takes a while to get rid of them. The poison spell isn't going to work very well on them.
Not going to work much at all. Yeah,
Not gonna work
that's
at
going to
all.
be interesting. That may be the next thing to look for. That's a definitely interesting idea.
Maybe we'll see a reoccurrence of giants or something. I don't know, weird. Healers coming out. I don't know.
Right?
You got to think on your feet now. Once these changes happen, it's going to be a month of playing with stuff, and somebody will find something that works pretty good. So,
Agreed.
Yeah, I tend to agree that maybe the Valks will be the new thing. You can fit a couple of 3 in a max CC, and I think the amount of damage they do, the amount of hit points they have, will probably make them pretty valuable.
The only thing about the Valks, though, is that they have no impact on air attacks. None.
That
I
is
can't
true.
tell you how many Valk raids I've had messed up by 1 to 2 loons, but by 8 of them in 3 drops. That's just it. It's so disappointing.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Wow.
we appreciate all the questions that we've gotten, and we encourage everybody to keep them coming. We love hearing from the folks that listen to the podcast. Thought we'd go ahead and do some shout-outs here at the end of the episode, and since Bryce decided to join us today, I'll let him go first. Bryce?
I'm going to shout out all of my Phantom Zone co-leaders. First and foremost is Wharfrat. He's been there since the beginning, and there isn't a better member of any clan anywhere. Chuck, Pip, Scabies, and Vadlag are all my other co-leaders. And Pip is British and the funniest guy on the planet.
Halligan, do you have shout-outs this week?
Let's see. Let's see. Natalia, do you have any shout outs while I start scratching my inner brain?
I do have a shout out. My shout out today has to go to Burnt the Cake in Kent. He's got the most donations so far this season in our clan with 7,317.
Holy jeez.
Holy
So
crap.
that's my shout out this week.
Rancid.
I'm going to shout out our latest war opponent that we unfortunately lost to. It was a really close war of...
By one.
I know, 82 to 81, and I really feel like I kind of bit the big biscuit because I had two stars. And if I'd gotten my third on each, we would have won by one. So I carry that weight. As a fellow Canadian, Team Canada, they beat us fair and square. Their clan description was completely Canadian and ultra polite. And I'm going to give them the super ultra shout out because we're recording on the 30th, which is the eve of Canada Day, and in the background I can already hear the fireworks going off because it's finally dark at 11:15 at night.
Oh, I just heard one.
Wow.
Hey.
No,
Now,
they were good guys. I don't have an official shout out, but I will say that I went over way open to a handshake after that war loss that we took. Great guys over there. They were really good people.
Yeah, they were really nice to have me let me come over and just say, good war and thanks very much. And they hopefully they'll listen and hear their clan shout out. So
Since I'm on the spot and I didn't give any thought to any shout outs at this point in time, I'm going to shout out all the Minnesota Clashers because as we have covered in this cast and what have you, I'm a Blackhawk fan, and I feel bad because the Blackhawks actually just keep kicking the crap out of the Minnesota Wild. They are a good team, and for years running now, they run into the Blackhawks. All I want to say, the Hawks kept running into Detroit for years and years, and look what happened. So your time is coming. So Koopa, Scotty, all you guys for Minnesota, it's coming.
Minnesota, yeah. I'll do mini shout out to Minnesota because they are, from a state standpoint, they're the third largest number of listeners that we have come from Minnesota.
There's
And
a lot
so
of Clashers in Minnesota.
There must be. It must get awfully cold in the wintertime, and they need to have something to do.
The weather must suck real bad.
But this week, I don't know who my shout out is going to go to. There's a restaurant chain called BJ's Restaurant and Brew House, and they're offering $10,000 to anybody that's willing to name their baby Quinoa because they are coming out with a menu that has quinoa bowl dishes, a high protein option. So I don't know who the idiot that's going to name their kid quinoa is, but they get my shout out this week.
Oh my God.
Wait,
Oh,
this
no.
is a for real thing? They're giving
This-
$10,000 to anybody
this
who'll
is
name
a
their kid
for real.
quinoa.
They have 159 stores across the country. The first person to name their child quinoa will receive a $10,000 gift card. If people change their Twitter name to
Wait,
quinoa,
gift card?
yes,
To the
it's
restaurant?
Not even, yes, to the restaurant.
It's not even cash?
It's not even cash. To claim the prize, all you have to do is show the birth certificate of your child that you cursed with the name of quinoa
Oh my god.
forever.
You don't even get cash. That's horrible.
Yeah, but you do get free BJ's for life.
I was considering it. I was considering it until I heard that it's not cash. After that,
Not cash. So the terrorists have won.
Quinoa. This is Natalia. This is Bryce, and this is our baby Quinoa.
Quinoa.
Oh no!
And we're going to be
That's
eating
terrible.
at this restaurant for the rest of our life.
Every night forever.
I wonder if the middle name would be like Kale. This is Quinoa Kale.
No, after you've named your kid quinoa, it doesn't matter what the middle name is. You can't do any more damage. You can name the middle name could be whatever you want.
Okay, so
always-
do you guys want to hear a joke?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. It says, "What do you call a bear with a sword?"
don't know.
A barbarian.
Strike two.
I failed again.
I think at
I
this
thought that was
think at this point you should get the worst ones. Whatever the worst possible.
The worst
joke
ones
is.
are probably good.
Yeah, I think you should go with the barbarian one, like that one.
Either that or we're going to cut your segment.
No jokes for you.
I like the pressure.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Remember that you can find us on Twitter at The Clash Files, online at www.theclashfiles.com. Go ahead and send us any feedback or questions at hosts@theclashfiles.com. And you can find us, subscribe on iTunes. You can find us on Stitcher Radio or Spreaker. And go ahead, and if you like the show or if you don't like the show, give us a rating and a review on iTunes.
Well, no, if you don't like it, just leave.
That's right.
Please tell us why.
If you don't like us, please utilize the email address and not iTunes ratings. But that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Today's show has been brought to you by the campaign to elect the Archer Queen for president. Go to www.votearcherqueen.com. And as always, is produced by me, Rancid Meat. Our music today is from the musical Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. You have a great day.